Hi, everybody. We will start in a few minutes. We just give time for everyone to join.
I wonder how many are attendees and how many are AI note takers in this call.
That's a really good question.
So I think we're experiencing some technical difficulties. We're waiting for Alex to join us.
No, I'm here.
Oh, there you are, Alex. I think there's a few more people still trickling in.
I think we're just waiting for people. I think we're good technically.
Yeah, we'll give it a couple of minutes. Yeah, sorry everybody if you're trying to unmute or show your face. There is something with the settings, but we are on it, so hopefully we'll be able to change soon.
So if people are okay, we'll give it 2 more minutes and then we'll get started. So far I can see that people have been very considerate on the time zones because I can see we've got people from Canada and Bangladesh on the call. That's great.
So technical issues have been fixed, everyone. You can put your camera on, your mic on also if you want, but maybe more on the Q&A part of the session. Sorry for that. If you want to put your camera on, that'd be lovely to see you. If not, that's also fine.
So shall we get started?
Go for it.
Yeah, brilliant. So we got over 70 people, which is fantastic. So welcome everybody to the launch of JIM Joint Impact Model 4.0. I can still fondly remember the launch of JIM 3.0 and 3.1 around about 2 years ago. So very pleased that you can join us again for the launch of Jim 4.0. I'm joined by colleagues from the Secretariat of the Jim Foundation. As you know, we're a non-profit based in the Netherlands. We have a small secretariat, but a growing membership. So I'm really pleased to say that since the last model was released, we've grown our membership from around about 30 members to over 100 now. So that's really great. So that's kind of small impact investors, large multilateral development banks, around about all of the development finance institutions in Europe and North America, and increasingly commercial banks that are clients of our founding partners, as well as donor agencies, central banks, banking associations, academia, consultancies. So it's a growing resource, and we're kind of very focused on the membership base, and we'll talk more about that as we go through the next sessions. But so thank you if you're a founder member. Thank you if you're a recent joiner to the group. We always thought that we'd get more insight and more benefit from being a membership organization, and that's certainly true in terms of some of the developments that we've built into Jim 4.0 and for our future research and development pipeline. So we're very, very pleased about that, and it's lovely to see so many of you on the call today. We will record this session. We are recording it already. We'll make it available. So if colleagues of yours in your organisations also want to watch, then please do share that with them. We'll do the LinkedIn and other social media posts to get the message out. So it's been a kind of really hard year, and what we've tried to do is balance two things for you as members. One is to keep the model stable so that you're not constantly restating results from year to year, and that was very strong feedback from the launch of Jim 3.1 that people didn't want kind of like numbers jumping around all over the place. But at the same time, we did need to completely rewrite the code of the model, and we'll tell you more about that in a minute. So with a model like the Jim, where we have so many data points with over 30 million permutations across 160 countries and over 20 impact points, you can imagine that the code gets pretty big. And so we did decide after the launch of 3.1 that we did need to entirely rewrite the code, but to improve stability rather than to kind of increase noise in the system. So we'll tell you more about that. But it's been a really hard work. So just before we start, I just want to kind of give a shout out to the Jim development team. So Julia, Francisco, Rebecca, Laia, Viga, and our colleagues at Finian and elsewhere, Thomas, who left halfway through this update, and a number of other people interns who've all been working really hard on this. The goal is that you won't see too much change, but it's been a lot of work to make you not see too much change. So just thank you to all my colleagues before we get started. So that's enough, I think, from me. I'm going to hand over now to Laia to navigate you through what you can expect to see in Jim 4.0.
Thanks so much, Alex. Thank you. Thank you for starting us up. And yeah, echoing Alex, thank you very much all for being here, for being members, for being Jim friends and supporting this endeavor. In today's agenda, we're keeping it very simple. We're going to tell you what's new in Jim 4.0. You probably already saw the emails, saw the posts here and there, but now we're going to tell you the actual changes. Point 2, which I know is the reason a lot of you are here, which is the comparison. How will the results change from 3.1 to 4.0? And my colleague Francisco, who is in the development team, will cover that for you. Then we have a few logistics, just so you know a few things before getting started with 4.0. Since we have you all here, we also want to take the opportunity to tell you a little bit about what the Jim Foundation is doing, besides developing the model, which is, of course, the core of everything we do. And we'll leave plenty of time for Q&A. I do want to mention before we even start, we will have a clinic early next year. So don't worry. We know you obviously didn't have time to go through 4.0 because it's just out today. So we will have plenty of time in the new year to go through any query or any question you have when running your own portfolios. So today just a bit more of an informative session, let's say. But let me get started with the information, which is the reason you're here and what's new with 4.0. There are 4 main key points we want to highlight that have been updated in the mobile, which is the KPMG assurance, scope 3 downstream, improved backend architecture, and updated macroeconomic data. So this is a simple one, but very powerful for us, and that's that we have received the reasonable assurance for KPMG. This is the highest level of assurance that you can receive. There's not much to tell about it. Everything went well. We got the document from KPMG say, okay, the model is assured, you guys are good to go. You're doing what you're supposed to be doing, which was good because we thought so, but it's always nice when someone else tells you they're actually doing what you should be doing. This report is quite short, but if anyone here requires it for their auditors or just for interest, please do reach out, and we are more than happy to share a copy with you, and you can see the contents of it. Next, and very, very exciting, is the incorporation of a scope 3 downstream. As you may remember or recall, until now, GIM includes the scope 1, 2, and 3, but 3 was limited to upstream and category 15 in the downstream side. When we sent the survey, I believe it was like around 1 year ago, a lot of you were really requesting to include downstream. It was actually the #1 request. You wanted to have the complete picture on finance emissions, and we understood that, and we got busy with it. But we always have to collaborate with people who are more intelligent than us, and that's why we collaborated with Rabo Research. So thank you from here to Barbara and Felix, who I hope are here, but they were invited, and Rabo Research, because they had a methodology, they had developed a methodology that was able to calculate scope 3 downstream for input-output modeling. And they were so kind to share this research with us, guide through us, and we were able to implement it in the model. So from today, with the new model is already available. When you run your results, you will also be seeing scope 3 downstream. Scope 3 downstream will be disaggregated. So you will see your results, scope 1 and scope 2 as always, and scope 3 will still be disaggregated. You will have the upstream and the downstream also divided by imports and local as usual. So there's no need to worry about that. You will be able to see it separately. If you're comparing with last year's numbers, you won't have to make a guessing game of it. It will be separated. For anyone that's curious to know further on how this methodology works, a new document on GIM 4.0 will be available right after this webinar on the website, and you will have all the explanations from our side on how this is being worked into the current model. Okay, so that was point 2, getting closer. Point 3, and I'm very, very excited to share this, especially with our members with the biggest portfolios. We have improved the backend architecture, what Alex was mentioning. As you know, the GIM has been an effort that's been going on for many, many years, before even the membership became a thing. So the code needed a bit of housekeeping to make it more professional, more streamlined actually, to make it just work better, because there were bits and pieces. So that's a big endeavor we had this year to make the code more streamlined, so we could increase the capacity for you. What does this mean? Well, you can run very large portfolios through the GIM right now. To be very honest with you, we haven't tested to the limit, but we do think that it will take a bit longer, but the limit in Excel will be the limit of the GIM at the moment. This is also scalable in the sense like the bigger your portfolio is not that it's going to take double the time, but it becomes more and more efficient as the data is bigger. Also very, very interesting, in getting ahead in case of any future development, is that it will have a modular design. Sorry. It will have a modular design for flexibility. Sorry, I just want to ask whoever has the mic to please
I just
mute
muted
people.
I just muted people live, don't I? So
Thank you so much, Alex. I just lose track of what I'm saying. So yeah, the modular design, this is very interesting. As mentioned, with streamlining the code, we make it very easy to add anything. Any new feature that can be developed, researched, and implemented into input-output modeling now is a bit more of a plug-and-play situation. So we can always discuss that in another call. And improve data validation, that has been a lot of work. So as you can see on the table, for lines of data, 3 lines in 3.1 used to be 2 seconds. I know it says 16 seconds for 4.0. That's because we are still working on the smaller files. We were less concerned about the smallest files since we know the big issue was with the big files that weren't even able to be run through Gym. So we'll reduce the time for the small files as well. It was just a couple of months to get to that point. But the most interesting part is files, for example, with 7,000 rows or 14,000 rows. Those files, as you know, as a member, I don't have to tell you, but you have to break these files into parts. You have to run it separately, which was honestly really annoying. And we heard you and we understood that. So that's not the case anymore. You can run files of 7,000, 14,000 lines. In our internal server in the past, this used to be 600 seconds or 1,500 seconds. Now this will be much, much faster, 150 seconds, 250 seconds. It doesn't reach 5 minutes. So yeah, I'm very, very excited for everyone who's been struggling in this regard. I know a lot of the commercial banks, especially shout out to Grupo Promerica, I know they have a lot of very big files. So we are really, really excited to be able to make this happen for you. And the last item is updated macroeconomic data. As Alex mentioned in the beginning, we tried to keep the model as stable as possible. There was not a big update on GTAP. We didn't change numbers, we only changed letters. What that means is we went from GTAP 11A to GTAP 11C. The differences are more reduced than if we have gone to GTAP 12, 13, or whichever versions are coming. And the rest is just an update on the data. All the data sources and all the updates, all the pages, everything will be available in the methodology that once again will be available on the website at around 4:30 today. So you will have a field day on that regard, I hope. But yeah, these are the main changes in the gym. And again, going to the most interesting part, and my colleague Francisco will be here for this. How will your results look different? We have a bit of an overview for you. Francisco?
So on the comparison, we look first at the employment numbers. You can go on the next slide.
Yep.
So the employment numbers remain relatively stable. There aren't any big changes. So we can see for direct, there'll be a small increase. Supply chain and induced also small increase, some all decreases, but nothing very significant. The main driver of change is that we have implemented a new outlier treatment, which was previously not being, we have updated the outlier treatment, and that is the main driver of change. So for employment, we apply a 99th percentile statistical analysis, and we apply it at the general level, so all sectors together. The sectors that are most affected by this treatment are other services, agriculture, and trade sectors. The remaining sectors are almost not affected by the outlier treatment. The intensities in employment, they show a small variance. So most of the intensities are quite close together, and the outlier treatment is really only treating the very, very large intensities. So we saw that the tail for employment intensities is quite small, but it goes on quite further. So this treatment only cuts about 1% of outliers. The outliers that have been identified, they have been replaced. So if they were a country intensity for a specific sector, they were replaced by either the sub-regional intensity, or in case that one was also an outlier, then the regional, or if that one was also an outlier, then the world. But they are replaced by the region that they are in. the intensity of the same sector. So, well, a bit more conservative number, but still the smallest region possible that we could have, replacing that country. Also worth noting that asset turnover ratios were also treated for outliers. There we followed the 98th percentile treatment, so only about 2% of ATRs were identified as outliers. ATRs are used at regional level, so if a region had an ATR that was an outlier, those were replaced by the world numbers. But overall, for employment and asset turnover ratios, there were not that many outliers identified. Most intensities in ATRs are quite close together and look quite reasonable. So yeah, for GHG intensities, the story is slightly different. So we can go on to the next slide. For GHG intensities, we see the change is a little bit bigger. So for scope 1 and 2, for CO2, we see a 9% decrease, and non-CO2, we see a 38% decrease. And for scope 3, this is a comparison only for upstream scope 3, because downstream scope 3 has been added, so there was nothing to compare it to. But so for scope 3 upstream, CO2 emissions will decrease by 8% and non-CO2 emissions by 13%. Worth pointing out as well that these comparisons that we are showing for both employment and GHG emissions, they were performed based on unweighted portfolio. So your specific portfolios might differ from these numbers a little bit. Of course, we can't get a comparison that will be exact numbers for all of you because your portfolios are all different. So we have tried to do a comparison that would fit, or that would be, let's say, somewhat the average of all your portfolios. So it's unweighted average of all the sectors, of the changes of all sectors. But so these are the numbers. Similar to employment, the drivers of change is also an updated outlier treatment. So for both CO2 and non-CO2 emissions, we see that the variance of the intensities is a lot larger than comparing to employment, for example. So we have performed an interquartile range statistical analysis per sector. So here, outliers were treated first for each sector. We haven't identified outliers in each of those sectors. For both CO2 and non-CO2 emissions, this first outlier treatment, the interquartile range, will remove about 9% of the outliers. So, of course, it is a bit more. There were a few more outliers identified compared to employment, which was only 1%, or even ATRs, which was 2%. So here, the interquartile range will identify about 9% of outliers, and these were done per sectors. For non-CO2 emissions, even after this interquartile range analysis, there was still some very large intensities. And to account for this, we also performed a 99th percentile statistical analysis at general level after the interquartile range. So this removes an additional 1% of outliers. So the total amount of outliers removed for CO2 were 9%, but for non-CO2, they were about 10%. These are numbers that are still reasonable to be considered as outliers. The percentages are not above 10%, so it is still a very valid outlier treatment. Similar as to employment, outliers were replaced by the corresponding either sub-regional intensity, or if that one was also an outlier, then the regional, or if that was also an outlier, then the world intensity for that corresponding sector. And so again, we replaced them by the intensity that we have that is most applicable to that sector, given that the country level intensity was an outlier. The sectors that were most affected by this outlier management for CO2 were the leather products, metal products, gas, electricity transmission and distribution, and the water and waste. For non-CO2, the sectors most affected were bovine cattle, sheep and goats and horses, water and waste, dwellings, paddy rice, and computer, electronical, and optical products. So if you have investments in these sectors, these are the ones that you might notice the outlier treatment being applied to these. But for the other sectors, the intensities were mainly untreated or not as treated as in these sectors. So for the other ones, it's pretty much the intensities that we get from GTAP. Worth pointing out as well that although we have performed these outlier treatments, these sectors will still remain the most intensive sectors. So it's not because we treat the highest intensities that the other part that isn't treated will go lower. So these sectors will still be the most intensive sectors that you will find in your portfolios. I think also worth noting that the non-CO2 emissions, the very large values mainly occurred because non-CO2 emissions are reported for sectors that have small economic size, or the way the intensity was built was a bit disproportionate. And that is why some intensities were quite high. But overall, the outlier management, I think, improves the results, the quality of the results, and it is the main reason for the changes that you will see from 3.1 to 4.0. I think that is about from my side, so I will hand over to Rebecca. Or there is a question from Nicolo. Maybe I can take it right now.
Okay, we can take one
Yes.
question, and the rest of you, please wait till Q&A. But Nicolo can go first because we like him.
Yes, sorry, I don't know if you're taking questions now or at the end of the presentation, but it is relevant to these figures that Francisco just showed. So may I go ahead?
For it.
If
Yeah, go
you
for it,
could
Nicolo.
explain to us again what these average percentage changes actually represent, because I missed it.
So what we mean by average percentage change is we have run the same portfolio in 3.1 and 4.0, and these changes are the changes that we saw in that portfolio. By average, we mean that the portfolio we composed and we used to run in 3.1 and 4.0 to look at these changes is an average portfolio. So it is not the portfolio of each of any of you in particular. It is a portfolio composed of all sectors in all countries. So it's a very, very large portfolio. And I can imagine none of you has investments in all sectors in all countries. And that is what we mean by average. And they are also run in equal size. So we have an equal investment in each sector in each country. I understand that also your investments are all of different sizes. You might have some sectors in specific countries that are larger portions of your portfolio. And that is what is meant by average. So these changes are the changes that we have identified as from running that portfolio with all sectors, all countries. It is not the change that any one of you will see exactly, but if we would average out the changes in all your portfolios, it would be close to these numbers.
Okay, and these changes do take account the update of the macroeconomic data set underlying and the outlier treatment, correct?
Exactly. Yes, that is correct.
Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Francisco, and thank you so much, Nicolo, for the question. On the outlier treatment, you'll have a lot more information also in the methodology, but just a quick reminder, we will have the clinic early next year. So when you look at the figures of your portfolio, don't worry, it will be there. But yeah, in interest of time, I will have Rebecca, who you may know as the face of the team, because he's probably the person you speak from the team the most. Has a few logistic items to let you know of the 4.0 release.
Great. Thanks, Laya. So for logistical end of things, we tried to keep it obviously pretty light for your end. So there's not a ton of new information to cover, but just so you know, point one, there will be no new login information required. You log in as normal with your regular credentials and you should be able to get into the platform. There's also no new input file required. We made some updates to the input file for 4.0 to make it a little bit more intuitive and easier to look at, but you can also use the same 3.1 file to input your data. We do ask that you delete your cookies before logging into Gym 4.0 for the first time, just to avoid any potential issues that could happen with your cookies not being cleared and your cache not being cleared. So please do that. We also have updated documentation that is available on the website. So your updated methodology, the updated input file, the updated input file with examples, those will all be available on our website for you to review. And then we will be launching the Pi module shortly. So we are still working on a few tweaks to that module of the tool. So that will be available shortly, but as of now, that is not updated. We also wanted to let you know to expect a survey early next year. So we always say this, we are a membership organization and we want to incorporate your thoughts and your ideas into the development of the tool. And with 4.0 being finally launched, we are wanting to take into account your thoughts and your ideas into our future developments of the tool. So we will be putting out a survey shortly, so just keep an eye out for that. Final reminder, if you have any questions or any issues with the tool, including requests for additional accounts to be added, please do contact the support email, which is listed here. This ensures that multiple people will see your request, and it is the quickest way to get you what you need. All right, that's all from me. I'll now hand it back over to Laya.
Thank you so much, Rebecca. Thank you. Okay, so now, again, as I mentioned in the beginning, taking the chance that we have a lot of our members here, we also wanted to take a minute to tell you a bit more about what are we doing as a Gym Foundation. Maybe relevant to mention that the Gym Foundation has, the way we see it, of course, we have three main pillars of work. One, and very, very important, is developing and keeping the model updated. That's what we set up to do. Two is keeping you, all of our members, happy. We do this by answering your questions, helping when there is some kind of query or, I don't understand this result, that kind of things. That's a really important part of what we do. Some of you have had member check-ins this year. If you haven't yet, please do reach out. We'll be more than happy. And that's something that we take very seriously. And the last part of what we do, and for us very, very important, is technical assistance and projects. We feel that this is the way we are able to actually see the impact of the gym on the ground. And for me personally, it's my favorite thing to do at the Gym Foundation. So we wanted to take the chance to tell you a little bit more about some projects we've been working on, and also some research and development tidbits that we are also working on in the background. So in terms of projects, I have two projects I would like to highlight. The first one, and very, very important for us, very special. Honestly, it was a really enjoyable process, still going, is the gym application at group level for Group of America. This was done thanks to DEG and FinDev Canada. We started a technical assistance program with Produbanco Ecuador, and Marcelo and Denise, if you are here, I hope you agree with me, but I think they were pretty happy with how it went. And if you don't agree, you don't have to say anything. So after that went pretty well. They were very keen on let's do this at group level. So we helped them. We train the gym for all the banks in the group, which is like quite a few. This was for us very satisfactory. It was, I would say, the first big engagement that we got to do with so many banks at once, of course. We gave 10 financial institutions completion certificates. We had 50 people from Group of America join the workshops at the end of the program for the gym training program. And I think the most valuable insight from all this, we did this exercise in 2023 for 2023 accounts. And I know Group of America is right now busy with the 2024 accounts. So for us, it's just like a very proud moment to be able to help such a big group on this regard. And a second project, a little bit different, that also we wanted to let you know about, is the application of gym in Bangladesh. Very different project. We went from small to bigger. This was done in collaboration with multiple parties, but the main party being the FCDO, the Foreign Commonwealth Development Office, also Bangladesh Bank, the Central Bank of Bangladesh, also supported the British International Investment. This was a very big project for us, and it was the key point was to build capacity for ISSB aligned climate-related financial disclosure. Bangladesh Bank or the Central Bank of Bangladesh have issued a regulation on reporting requirements for the financial institutions in the country. This is pretty much aligned with ISSB S2, so pretty one-on-one. We were talking with one of our best friends, which is Tanvir from Mr. Bank, and we were discussing what's needed in Bangladesh, and yeah, with some other banks, of course. And this project took shape. This was phase 1. We work with 8 financial institutions in depth because these 8 financial institutions didn't have a previous experience in finance accounting, and they also represented over 50% of the IUMs in Bangladesh. So we work with them in depth, but we also had training sessions where we had 112 financial institutions come to these sessions. We was mind-blowing to have so many institutions attend, and over 400 people joined the sessions and got the certificate of completion, which was very relevant because in the case of Bangladesh, it was not only the GIM model per se, but we also made a toolkit available, a bit of a simplified version for the GIM. What I'm also very, very happy to say is that it was phase 1 of the project, and we think it went well. The banks said it went well, and FCDO also said it went really well. So we are now currently busy with phase 2. Phase 2 is a little bit bigger. We are moving away from simply finance emissions. That was the start, of course. The start of the journey from our perspective is usually measure first, then see what you do next. Now we are moving to other territories, including target setting, decarbonization pathways, and ideally A&R pipeline towards the end of the project. If you are interested in any of the technical assistance we are doing, you want to know more, Alex and I are always available. We love to talk about these projects. So don't worry, you won't be bothering us, not even the least. And if you have any clients in your portfolio that you feel, okay, you know what, maybe they need a little bit of extra help, we are also available for that. So this is just a little bit of a tidbit. Last part of this information dump that we are doing to you is the R&D pipeline, and then we'll open for Q&A. So we are almost there. Thanks everybody who's still with us 14 minutes later. On R&D pipeline, we are working on 3 different things. First, we have shared this on the website. We have shared this via email. Alex, with a colleague, Richard Horn, have come up with a methodology on green jobs, or how to implement green jobs in the GIM Foundation. And maybe we'll pause to let Alex give a little bit more introduction on that than I can do.
Well, I'll do that very briefly because I think people have probably seen on LinkedIn the working paper that Richard Horn was lead author on that I collaborated with him on. But basically, the idea there is to look at the amount of green activities in different occupations, and then match that up to the job sectors that are covered in the GIM to give an estimate of the greenness of those different jobs. So we're sort of gathering some feedback on that at the moment. ILO have also put out a kind of deeper dive paper recently looking into 4 countries using kind of similar approach, and the World Bank Group have also been looking at this. So I mean, I think the kind of I sort of say the message is that we're getting from members and sort of international debate is that the kind of interest in jobs kind of estimation from these types of models is sort of back after a couple of years where maybe it kind of declined a little bit in kind of relevance in some policy areas, but kind of in the last year or so very much back on the agenda. And so we're obviously keen not to forget about jobs, which is where GIM started in the first place. And so kind of looking at the greenness is one aspect. The other thing that's very much on the agenda is trying to figure out what to say about the quality of jobs. And so there's some interesting work ongoing among our members and other partners on job quality, which could also be a kind of associated with this work stream. One thing that I will mention on the green jobs is that it's kind of very interesting. All the studies that we've looked at so far, including our own approach, suggest that in the kind of green jobs, there's a bigger share of green jobs going to men than to women. And that's kind of that holds across quite a few countries, and so there's kind of definitely distributional issues about the kind of the just transition to low carbon and the increase of the environmental services sectors that include gender, as well as I would imagine age as well, and aspects of job quality. So it's a kind of complicated area, but you can expect to kind of hear more from us on the whole area of jobs, and in particular pursuing this greenness of jobs agenda over the next year. And I think Rudy, I don't know if I can see you're online. Rudy from the African Development Bank has been kind of very much a supporter of this kind of intellectual endeavor, and also the ILO working hard on this as well. So if you're interested in this work stream, please do get in touch with us.
Perfect. Thanks, Alex. Thank you so much. That was a very good explanation. Other two items we're working on. First of all, consumer loans with SPTF. I don't think Rebecca and I could count with all of our fingers combined how many of you have asked for consumer loans. Well, the SPTF group also brought it up, and then we're like, okay, we need to do something. So this is early stages. We're gonna do a little bit of a test with the SPTF group in the first quarter of 2026 to make sure that our method makes sense before we release it to all of you. But if all goes well, consumer loans will be included in the GIM, hopefully shortly, and we'll give you more information on that as we go as well. But yeah, shout out to Alex, who came up with this methodology actually. So that's going to be a very exciting development for the next year, hopefully early next year. And last is the climate risk assessments. Yeah, there's been a lot of chat, a lot of work from our side on climate risk assessments. We could go on for 20 webinars on this topic, but yeah, if you have or any interest or knowing further, please do reach out to Julia, who is the key climate risk person in the team. And yeah, probably in the region at this point, maybe in the Netherlands even. So please do reach out to Julia. That's all the information we wanted to give to you today. We wanted to keep it very light. As Rebecca put in the chat, and again I reiterate, the new methodology document will be available not at 4 o'clock but at 4:15. As soon as the webinar is done, it will be uploaded, and then you can download it, see any changes. Last reiteration, sorry if I already mentioned this 50 times, but clinics will be open for any questions you have. Early next year, you will get an email from us with more information, as well as the survey to hear what next, what do you want to see next in the team. So thank you again, everybody, for being here, for being members, and for supporting us in this journey. I will let Alex speak, and I will open the Q&A part of this webinar. Thank you so much. Yes, go, Alex.
Thanks, Laia, and congratulations to everyone. I know how much hard work it's been for all of you, not so much for me, getting 4.0 out. So it's really great. One thing I wanted to kind of loop back, because I know we've got DEG on the call, and the kind of what we've found, thanks I think to the kind of framework agreement that we have to support their financial institution clients, but also other people who've also helped us work with clients before, is it's definitely the case that the best results from GIM come from the most granular input templates, and the most granular input templates definitely come from clients of investors rather than sitting in a European capital, kind of trying to find exposure data from a whole bunch of banks. And so kind of significant amount of the work that we've been doing alongside the GIM 4.0 update is trying to make sure that the GIM is available to clients in all developing countries so that they can use the tool and then send results to DFIs and multilateral development banks. And so you get better quality for less work, and you'll get capacity being built up in your clients who kind of understand what this whole thing about jobs impacts, economic value added, and GHG financed emissions is. So it's kind of highly developmental to get this tool out. Now, the issue is that, as you know, there's a membership fee for the GIM. So we've been working really hard to try and find affordable ways for clients to get hold of the tool so that they can use it. But ignoring for a moment that kind of, that aspect, what we're finding from the work in Central America, from the work in Bangladesh, from the work we're doing with DG on banks in Vietnam currently and elsewhere, is that the more granular the input template, even to kind of hundreds of different sectors or thousands of individual clients, is you get a much better result on the GHG footprint with less outliers and more insight and kind of more opportunity for people to engage with the clients, which is where the footprints live. And so I would just sort of say that to really encourage you to think about whether the way you're currently using the GIM is getting the best out of it, or whether pushing it to your clients would get you a better result and incidentally free a lot of you up to do analysis rather than data entry. So that's the kind of pitch I'm making to kind of get the tool to where it's most needed.
Thanks so much, Alex. Well said. Okay, now officially we have 12 minutes and I open Q&A. I know a few questions have been answered in the chat. Please feel free to unmute yourself if you would like, or type it if you would like. And if we don't get to all the questions, that's fine. We will get to it via email eventually.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, Hemen.
Good afternoon.
Go ahead, please.
My name is Justice. Thanks so much for the work you are doing at GIM. I have a couple of questions. I'm calling from Ghana. For the input file, I realized that the section under the sector exposure, the tab that reads country, region, or financial intermediary. Okay, that's okay. But if you want to only do for sector for a portfolio, I don't know why you have to put in at least one for the individual client before the GIM server will accept your application. Then my second question is, if you have for multiple clients, the GIM input file will require you to aggregate all the files before the GIM server also processes the data. Any assistance or for the GIM 4.0, you've taken care of these problems. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Clement. So, point one, we know it's not there yet. We are working on it, and I'm hoping if it's not 4.1, it will be very shortly that we can eliminate the need of an individual client line. We know it's cumbersome. It is for us also, and we apologize for that, but we will get to it hopefully soon. On your second question, I'm sorry I didn't quite get it. I don't know if any of my colleagues have understood it better than I did.
Okay, I can put the question through again. Say you have for clients A, B, C, D, and A again at different times in the same reporting year, say 2024. If you put A, B, C, D, and A in again, the GIM server tells you client A is repeated twice, then the processes stall unless you come back and aggregate client A twice. before you get your output. Thank you.
Are you referring to the attribution module where you have to repeat the class? Yes, Alex?
I think maybe this sounds like a kind of quite a technical question that maybe we should pick up in the clinic offline.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't mind, you can also email us, and we'll be more than happy to answer. I feel this may be a bit more the use of the gym than the update, if that's okay.
Okay, thank you.
Laia, that's
Thank you so
Justice.
much.
No,
And that was
that's
Justice. So now we'll take,
Yeah.
we'll take Heman.
Okay.
Oh,
okay,
sorry,
fine.
Heman. Sorry, Justice.
No, it's okay.
Sorry,
That's
both.
all right. Yeah. So my question was on the changes and the drivers of the changes, right? I just wanted to ask if we're going to get a note that will explain in much more English and less statistic speak what has changed, so our stakeholders can understand why our numbers look different comparatively in our reports. Are we going to get a note, or can I then expect an explanation on what has changed, the interquarter range analysis and the rest in English, please?
So thank you, and so believe it or not, Francesco and I and others have tried to kind of already make this a bit more English than the kind of the interquartile range actually looks like on paper, with a lot of formulas and stuff. But we take the point that we need to explain it a bit more. The only thing I'd say is that the reason why we're going to have the clinics in early 2026 is because we won't know exactly the major reasons why your portfolio looks different, if it does look different, because it very much depends on the country of exposure and sectors of exposure of your portfolio. And so we can provide some general pointers of kind of areas that we believe have a big difference, but there may be some factor that is specific to your portfolio. So we're very happy to engage with that. But of course, remember that we don't see any of your data unless you share it with us. So that's why we wanted people to use the model and have a look at the results and then come back to us with questions, and then we can get a lot more granular about what the big differences are. And we'll have available on our server GIM 3.1, so we can then run some comparisons and see specifically what's happening in your case. But in terms of kind of explaining the kind of key changes, they are in the methodology, but we can produce a kind of super English guide to that as well.
Okay, great. That's helpful. Will it also include modules? Will the clinic include models on the climate risk assessment? Or is that going to be a separate work stream?
Okay. That's a separate work stream. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Thank you. Bye.
Thanks. Now, Heman, not Justice. Yes, Nicolo, go ahead, please.
Yes, thank you very much, Laia, and all the GIM staff for this great achievement with the fourth edition. I have a question on the result files, the output files. If the process of obtaining the results is unchanged, meaning that we still need to connect to the GIM website and upload the input file to get an output file in return. My question is, with this update, will the output file look the same as before in terms of layout? And I'm talking about, can I apply like the same macros in Excel on it without doing some retweaking, or applying the same queries without doing some tweakings?
That's a very good question. So two answers. One, regarding the layout specifically, there are minor changes because, for example, there are new columns on the table, new rows on the data for the downstream. So if you use the table, there are a few changes. If you use the tabs, then there are very, very few changes there. So depending how your macro is built, you may not have to do anything, or you may have to do a little tweak.
Okay,
In terms
I guess
of,
I'll have to try it and see.
I hope it's very, very small, but
Yes.
please let us know.
Hopefully, yes.
Yeah, and thanks for this question, Nicola, because it also brings me something with the rewritten of the model. From around half next year, not initially, we should be able to also include APIs if that's wanted and requested by some members. So please give us a bit of time to roll out the normal version of 4.0. And if this is something that you would like to discuss, do reach out to info@impact model or any of the people here or your contact person, and we can always discuss that.
Okay, great. And my second question is if you could disclose maybe a short key takeaways regarding the changes in terms of the macroeconomics database. As far as I understood, the GTAP dependent data has not been updated. So the base year is still 2017. But IEA and other sources of the data have been updated. So maybe
Correct.
if you could just do maybe a table or make this information very clear somewhere, that will be very helpful.
Yeah, very, very good point. We'll have this info across the methodology, but I do see a point. So I think we'll also make a little table, share with you guys, so you can see. There's been, just to clarify, there hasn't been a change in the base year of GTAP, but there has been some changes in GTAP. Yeah, there's a newer version. A few countries have been affected.
Yes.
But we can definitely make that happen for you and all the members.
Thank you very much. Very appreciated.
Alrighty, thanks so much, Nicolo. Any other burning questions in the last 3 minutes, or is everyone waiting till this is over so you can go around the gym and send us emails after, which is also fine. No, nothing.
I'm very interested in Rudy's question about downstream jobs impacts. So that's got my mind going. Francisco and others, I think we're going to have to do some thinking on that. But that's why it's so great having a membership organization, because most of the ideas come from the members. We just got one last question, I think.
Yeah, Anthony, please go ahead.
Hi, thank you. Just wanted to ask one question about direct jobs, because at the African Development Bank, we've been using the GIM for both direct and indirect. Can we rely fully on the output from the GIM for direct jobs when creating like a results measurement framework, or that has to be taken in consideration with other factors?
That's a big question. I'm gonna let Alex take this one.
Well, I'm going to say a bit of it, which I think goes back to the point I was making about kind of getting the tool as close to the kind of action as possible. So I think where you have direct jobs, you should enter them in the GIM and override the IO table doing that calculation for you, because you'll have from your clients, you'll have better data, and obviously every business in a sector is different. So with the GIM, you get the average, but with your client data, you get the actual. And particularly, I think where development finance is looking for kind of outperforming companies, it might be that your client or your project actually has kind of lower job intensity directly than the industry average that the IO tables are relying on. So if you have kind of direct data, you might find that it's lower than what the GIM comes out with, because you're backing hyper efficient and capital intensive businesses. and projects. So you might end up with lower jobs, but they'll be more accurate, and then let the gym do the hard bit, which is the supply chain and induced jobs estimates. So, but as Lara says, that's a big topic. So we can we are happy to kind of discuss that one-on-one with you in the clinic period.
Perfect. Thanks for the question, Anthony. So I see we have one last question from Justice. So I think we'll take this question and wrap up. So please, Justice, go ahead.
Yes, thanks for the opportunity again. So quick one for the scope 1 emission calculation. You know, every country and the density of fuel that they use. I don't know if the values you give a fair representation of that from the African region, or is European values, or it's an average of all the data you have from your agency.
It's country specific for all countries. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's why it's such a. That's why we have 30 million data points. Justice is because it's country specific. So we'd have a much easier model if we were applying regional or global averages. But
Okay.
Thanks, Alex. And thanks, Justice, for the question. Thanks, everybody, for your time. You will get a copy of this recording. Again, any questions, please email us, get in touch with us. We will be also available during the Christmas break. If you are also running the gym during that period, we are not going to ask you why you're doing it. We will be here to answer any questions. Wish you all a wonderful rest of the day or evening or afternoon. And thanks so much for being our members and for being here. And I'm sure we'll speak soon. Thank you very much.
thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Enjoy the rest of your day, evening, morning.
Laia, one last question. The clinic is happening when?
We'll be sending emails to let you all know when we'll do more than one. So there will
Thank you
be
very much.
availability.
Thank
No
you.
problem. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.
Bye bye, everybody.
Bye.